And that's what makes artist conversations unique. We're sharing our inner world and our story through these masterpieces. Art is so much more than just a display of skill or beauty. It's a non-verbal language. So how do artists see the world differently? Here are some of the ways, but just remember these are from my experience and these are things that I have noticed in my practice. Hi and welcome back to Rebekah Victoria Studios. If you're interested in the artist mindset, then you're in the right place. Today we're discussing how the artist experiences the world differently, so let's get into it. As artists, I really believe that we experience the world in such a different way. We see color, we see light, we see texture in a way that is artistically inclined. Things that appear to be ordinary moments in time to others become a full canvas of wonder and possibility. A simple ray of sunshine is not just a simple ray of sunshine. It's a dance of warmth and shadow and clouds and light. And the world unfolds to us with subtle details. We see beyond the surface. We see and notice intricate beauty in mundane things that look every day to other people. And that's what makes our creations unique. When we pick up a brush or a pen or a paintbrush or even some clay in our hands to create something, the art that we create is not just for something for other people to look at. We're sharing our inner world and our story through these masterpieces. Each piece holds fragments of our emotions, of our experience, of our feelings, and our individual way of seeing the world. Art is so much more than just a display of skill or beauty. It's a non-verbal language and a visual way for us to speak and tell the world what we see and how we see it and how we feel it as well. Through these creations, we communicate how we view and experience the world. So how do artists see the world differently? Here are some of the ways, but just remember these are from my experience and these are things that I have noticed in my practice. Number one is we pay attention to detail in a different way. Artists notice the little things. We notice the tiny details, the tiny shadows and the depth of the shadows. We notice the gradation of tone in a different way than someone who is just looking at it from a regular point of view would. We also notice the fine details in nature. We notice a beautiful sunrise or a sunset, and I really think we appreciate it in such a different way because we look at the colors and we think, how would I create that color? Or do I think that color could be used into my painting or my drawing in some way? And we notice these things and we can take them back to our art studio and really reflect on things in a different way. So something mundane is turned into something super beautiful, and we just have to flip the perspective of it being mundane to beautiful. Number two is we see possibility in imperfections. Artists value imperfections in a way that others really don't. A crack in the ceiling or a mark on a wall or a wilted flower becomes something that others may not see. Have you ever been looking at a piece of wood and noticed a face in it? I don't know if everyone sees that or not. We'll have to ask some people. I know that my kids notice these things, but kids have such a different way of seeing the world. They haven't had the creativity taken out of them yet. We're kind of trained by society to stop seeing these things and start focusing on the things that matter and the things that are important rather than seeing the beauty in the everyday. We as artists see beauty in something that might be flawed or diminished or looked down upon. We notice the beauty in it. Number three is that there is a really strong communication through our artworks. Creating art in itself is a form of communication. It's a non-verbal communication. It's not just about telling beauty, it's about the story in the painting and the story that the artist was feeling when they created the artwork. It's a holistic thing. It's a story about their lives, what they feel in the present moment and what they want from the future. Everything is encompassed into this one piece. Everything that they've learned has been funneled into this one piece. Some things have been left behind, but the things that have made it through to the bottom of that funnel directly impact this artwork. It conveys our stories, our emotions, our personal views on the world, and the ways that we've been taught to view the world, our conditioning by our parents and by society, and how we might have broken free from those. All of those things are brought into your artwork. It is impossible to escape them from being reflected into our artworks. Everything is just so infused with our personal story and the way that we see the world. We cannot escape it. And even the mundane things that happen in our lives on a periodic basis, it could be a chat with a person you had this morning, will directly affect your art in one way or another. Number 4 point is that it really is a visual language. We articulate so much through our artwork in such a non-verbal way. It's more of a physical, tactile way, the way that we physically put it onto the canvas, but then also the way that the artwork sings for itself and tells its own story. And the really interesting thing about that is that the viewer can come into it with their own perception of the world and their own story, and then that is then also put onto the painting when they view it. So every single person who views this will view it slightly differently because they're viewing it in their own story, in their own identity, in their own period of their life, and this is all affecting the way that they look at a story. Their conditioning from life and from family is all funneled into what they're seeing in this artwork. We as artists can really communicate complex things, and we can really work through complex emotions through our artwork, and we can make it a much more interesting artwork if we do so. It really is such a unique way that we can express ourselves fully in a way that is non-judgmental, because others might not realize that's in the artwork, but it still can come out for us. So we can be letting go of the ways that we're worried about things and really let it be infused in the artwork. The next point is that there is such a unique story that is being shared through our artwork. Each artwork is unique through its own storytelling, and as I said, that the viewer brings their own unique story as well, and their own unique lens point. This makes every creation distinctively personal and incredibly valuable. This direct representation of how we see the world is directly represented in our artwork, and it is inescapable, and it's going to be there. So why not embrace this and purposely put a bit of your own touch onto it, your own story, your own flair, whether it be through color or texture, or the way that you're applying the paint, or the way that you're putting the pencil onto the paper. Bring something unique into it and use your own personality and allow it to be reflected in the artwork in a different way. The artist is always responding to their surroundings, and they're always responding to everything that's going on in their lives. As artists, we cannot escape what's going on around us. We cannot escape the political context of the world. We cannot escape what is happening in other parts of the world. It all funnels into our reality, and it all comes into our brain and affects how we see the world. So we need to embrace this. This is what is also helping to make up our value system. So this is an important part of our identity, and we need to embrace this and use this and channel it. For me, I love seeing the beauty in things, as we've discussed in this, and I think that that is coming across in my recent artwork, because I am focusing and looking at things that are truly beautiful to me and affect me on an emotional level, and that is why I am doing these paintings. That is why I'm picking these subjects, and that is why I am responding to these little pings that come into my imagination when I'm looking for some kind of inspiration. So we're always responding to what is going on around us. And my baby's crying, so I'm hoping that I will get to finish this later. I am back, baby. So everything looks similar. The next thing we're talking about is how we interpret the mundane with more of an emotional lens to it. Everyday scenes really evoke feelings in artists that may not occur to other people. They connect differently to the world around them in a more emotional way, and then those emotions influence how they interpret and depict the reality of their surroundings. This affects how we translate what we see in our surroundings and our everyday life into our artwork. Artists are able to look and have perception that is beyond the surface. They're able to look at something and see more into it. A tree is not simply just a tree. It's a way that it is wrapped, the way that it is wrapped in bark, and the way that the bark is formed, and the way that if you cut through, that there are rings signifying and reflecting all the years and all the things that that tree has been through. There is just so much more nuance to a tree. So we see the world in a more nuanced and detailed way. We don't just see that tree as simply a tree standing out in the middle of a field. We see the story that has come to form that tree. The way it's grown and the way it's shaped is part of that story. And that is the same for us artists and as human beings. Everything that impacts us is a part of our story. We see the subject we're focusing on with layers, with emotion, and with intentionality in a very different way. The other thing that artists have, I think, is something that we had when we were children, but we were kind of taught to play it down a little bit and focus, and that is our imaginative vision. It might be the most significant way that artists see the world differently. It's because we are able to imagine different things. We can imagine different realities. We can put ourselves in someone else's place so much easier. If you think of a novelist, how they might research and plan and document and get really into their character, or even an actor or an actress who is so into their character, they're so creatively involved, and they don't really understand. At some point they start to take on the visions of this character because they're so embodied by it. Their imagination has taken over so completely that they're consumed by their new role. Maybe the most significant way that artists see the world differently is their imagination. They're able to look at a blank canvas or a blank space, like this room, for example, and imagine how it will look. And it might not go exactly as your imagination sees it, but that first part of the imagination is what triggers your instincts and your vision to come to light. It's what begins the process, and then your ability and your artistic talent is what takes it over the edge. The imagination allows us to see beyond what is actually here in this moment, and we can see into the future of what it could be. This imagination allows us to see beyond the present moment and imagine what it could be in the future, and create something new that is rooted in our interpretation of reality and how it could be. Our unique perspective as artists allows us to turn really mundane, ordinary scenes into a beautiful reflection of reality through our artistic lens. These powerful artworks transform how others experience the world as well, as they're coming into it with their own point of view. And they will bring a nuanced version of their interpretation of the world, and these two can collide together to create the artwork. So remember, when you're creating, you're not just making something beautiful. You're expressing your story, your reality, your interpretation of the world, and your truth. And that is what makes your work irreplaceable and so unique. That is what I have for you today. I hope that you found something valuable in this, and I hope that it resonated with you. If you can think of another artist that might like this, please send it along to them, or just another human that is creative and might find value in this too. I would really appreciate it if you shared. Please let me know if you have any comments down below, and let me know if you think that artists see other things in different ways too. I know that there's so many things that are different. I really do believe that our perception of the world is different. If you want to watch more videos, please stick around and subscribe so that you can follow along with our journey together. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. And don't forget, today is a great day to go and make some art. Okay, much love. Bye. Much love. Bye.